Welcome to Mindful Makerspace. My name's Mrs. Nance. Today we're going to take those 2 deep breaths before we start our activity. Remember, the breath is so important to our body and our brain. Puts oxygen where it needs to go, and it keeps us calm, focused, and ready. So sit up nice and straight. We're going to be taking 2 mindful breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let's pick your favorite flower. Today I'm going to choose the daisy. Here we go. Everyone breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel your muscles relax. You're calm and ready and focused. Enjoy your activity today. For this activity, we're going to learn how to code an Ozobot. An Ozobot is a sophisticated robot that reads code, and you can direct it the way you want it to. Now it can read code through markers or some fun stickers or even on your tablet. The bots come with different skins. The skins come in different colors. You can have black, white, turquoise, yellow, even fun skins like Spider-Man or Star Wars. Ozobots are really sophisticated robots. This is a bit without the skin, so you can see the intricate circuitry inside that's going to allow it to read the code that you prepare for it. It's not a Hot Wheel or a Matchbox car. This is a toy that you can push and have fun with. You don't push a robot. The robot does have wheels, like a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox car, but when you turn it on, the wheels automatically roll. So the only thing you do with a bot after you code is you lift and put down. You never drag it and you never push it. You charge an Ozobot through a USB plug. Okay, this goes into your robot and this goes into your USB plug into your wall or to your computer. Some kits come with little containers that you can either put your skins in or your bot. And then they usually come with some markers. You can go online with Ozobot and you can download sheets like the light show, which we'll be working with, color code sheets with pictures, and then color code sheets without pictures, and also a calibration sheet. You can download worksheets to practice with Ozobot. Let's check out the bit a little bit more closely. There's a circle on one side and on the other. If you place your fingers on either side and press, the robot comes on and the wheels are already spinning. When I place the bit on the light show, it will change colors depending on what color it's rolling over. That's a light show. It's fun to create light shows with the markers. You can make any path you want for the bit, and it will change colors depending on what marker you choose to use. Let's learn how to code our bot. Here is a color code reference chart. Notice that you have speed codes, direction codes, timers, more advanced bot coding, cool moves, these are really fun, when exits, and counters for those who want to code games. We're going to stick with the speed, direction, and later cool moves. So when coding Ozobot, you're using colors, a sequence of colors. For instance, if you want the Ozobot speed to go fast, you just color the boxes in or create the boxes of blue, black, and blue. When Ozobot rolls over your code, it will do as the code asks. If you want the Ozobot to have a speed of nitro boost, you color or create the boxes blue, green, and red. Then Ozobot rolls over the code and will do what the code is asking. Notice that the speeds are 3 colors. The cool moves are 4 colors. So depending on what you are creating or coloring, need to pay attention to how many colors the code has. Before we code, we need to talk about markers. Ozobot comes with their own markers. On their site, they're about $6, and there's 4 of them: black, red, green, and blue. Ozobot markers come in a wedge shape. So if I open it, you can see that it has a wedge. You can either use the tip, which is small, or use the wedge. So here's the tip, and if I turn it for the wedge, you can see it's thicker. Ozobot loves thick lines. The neat thing about Ozobot, though, is you don't have to use their markers. You can use Crayola markers or Bic markers or Sharpies, but there is a difference. If you look at a Crayola marker, it has more of a cone instead of a wedge. It still has a point, but then you can lay it on its side and you can have that thick line that Ozobot really enjoys. Now I have some Bic markers here, and they're more like an Ozobot marker. It has a wedge, so I can either use the tip for small or place it on its side, and I have that thick line. Remember, Ozobot loves thick lines more than anything. Our activity today will start with a worksheet I downloaded off of ozobot.com, and it's going to really have us think. We have kind of a construction site with a school and a couple of houses, so a neighborhood, and we have some codes here that we're needing to color in. The reason this is going to have us think is because we're only allowed to use these codes. Go straight, fast, U-turn at an end line, go left, jump left, slow, U-turn, pause, go right. Because we're only using these codes, we really have to think about where we're going to place them. For instance, if I am approaching a construction site, would I want to place go left in this code? No, there is no left turn. So I need to really think about the codes and where they should go before I start coding my paper. I will not give out all the logistical answers, but I will do a couple of codes to teach you how to code this particular sheet using markers. Each one of these codes have a 1x beside it, which means you're only going to use that code one time. But there is one code on here that has a 2x. U-turn at the end of the line. Do you see where there's an end of a line and Ozobot will need to turn around? If you chose these two, you are correct. We're going to do one together to show you how to code. First, I will consult my reference chart and find where is a 2-color U-turn. So I see speed, directions. It is a direction because we're turning around. I see a 3-code U-turn, and I see a U-turn line end, blue, red. Blue must come first for Ozobot to read the code. So here I will color in blue and then color in red. When coloring in the boxes, I'm going to use the tip because the box is already drawn for me. And I'm going to be really careful about trying to stay in the box and not having any white showing in the box when I'm finished. Markers are wet, so we need to keep the lid on tight. So we should hear that every time we put the lid on. But because they're wet, that means where I've colored possibly could still be wet. If I have two wet markers touching each other where I colored, they will bleed where they meet. We do not want a bleed here, so we'll need to blow on this, make sure it's dry before we can add our next color. One thing to consider if you don't want to wait, you could always figure out another code somewhere else and then color in part of the code so this is drying, and then when you're working on this one is drying. Once you create a code, you should test it to make sure that you're doing it correctly. We're going to use this bit Ozobot, and notice that it has a circle here and a circle here. If you place your fingers, one finger on one side, thumb on the other, and press, one of them will press down. That will be the button to turn on Ozobot. I'm going to put the light show over here because when I'm not using Ozobot, I'm going to place them on the light show because possibly I keep coding and keep coding. I can just go back and forth. But let's test the U-turn. Oh, he liked my code, probably because there's no white, there's no bleeds, and I stayed within the lines. Notice Ozobot stopped here. Where it's black, he will continue or she will continue going, but where there's no code, it will stop. I'm going to place Ozobot on the light show, and then I can choose another item to code while he's having a light show. Okay, now it's time to talk logistics again. We have these codes. We did one U-turn at line end. There's going to be two. When you finish, check it off. Then you have the rest of the codes to use only one time, spread out through your construction zone. Well, let's look at this construction zone and determine what code should go here. Go straight. If Ozobot is going straight, will that be possible when Ozobot gets to the construction zone? No. So we do not want to use that code. Go fast. Well, he would only go fast this much. That would be a waste of that code. U-turn at line end 2 times. That's already taken. Go left. Well, this is Ozobot. This is left for him. There is no turn. Ozobot travels on black lines. There is no black line for him to travel on. So he cannot go left. Jump left, he could. The only time that Ozobot does not need a black line is if he has a jump code. A jump code would allow him to move off of a black line into another black line. This is something we could use, but let's keep checking. Slow? No. U-turn? We do have a U-turn here. That's 3 codes, and we know there is a 3-code U-turn out there, so that is also a possibility. Either jump left or U-turn. Pause, he would just sit there, or go right. That's not an option. So I could either jump left or code a U-turn. Let's jump left. Let's check out our color code reference chart. We're going in a direction of left, but we're jumping left. So we need to find a jump left. Here's a go left, go straight, go right, line jump left. This is what we want. So the code for line jump left is green, red, green. Remember, when you're coloring, make sure you color and then let it dry. If it were me, I would color both greens because nothing's touching, let it dry, and then color the red. Or color the greens, find another code you can code on your paper, start that one, then come back and finish with your red. Let's test out the jump line left code. Turn on Ozobot. He did it. He read my code. 1, there's no bleeds. 2, I stayed within the lines. 3, there's no white. Notice the white here. Ozobot stops. Finish your entire sheet, making sure that you plan where your codes go before you start coloring. Also remember, when you're finished with a code, mark it off so you don't use it again. You can only use line jump left one time. The construction zone worksheet had multiple codes you could utilize, but they were all speed and direction and 3 color codes, except for the U-turn line, which only had 2. You were not able to have fun using some cool moves, which takes 4 colors. I'm going to show you that once you're finished with your sheet, how you can add cool moves to your construction site. I'm not going to finish this worksheet because I really want you to be the thinker and decide where these codes need to go. But I do want to be able to add cool moves. So cool moves will be free code. The easiest code is if they've already created the boxes for you and you're coloring it in. Free code means you're creating your own path and your own boxes. There's no guarantee this will work or not, but it's really fun to find out if you can free code. First, I have to decide where my new paths are going to be. So let's say I'm going to place a path here and turn here. I'm going to start my path with black, and I need to use the side. Ozobot will not roll over thin lines. Ozobot can only read thick lines. Let's do a thin line just to test out Ozobot. I'm going to put a thin line here and move it. Let's turn Ozobot on and let's see, will he read my thick line? Yes. Will he read my thin line? No. So be sure when you're coding free code, you use thick lines, not thin lines. Let's choose a cool move for Ozobot. Do you want to do a tornado, zigzag, spin, or a backwalk? Let's try a tornado. So let's study the sequence of the code. Red, green, red, green. Well, the trick with an Ozobot is to create squares this size. So I'm going to start with red first. Here's one way to do this. You can just draw a red square and color it in. Let this dry or create another code. You can also use light shows. Let's say I wanted to make a path here. I could take a color, make sure that I'm on the cone part, and I created a new path. Now this is not coded. It's just going to turn him colors. It's going to be a light show. Let's test it out. He turned blue. So while this was drying, I did a small light show. Let's go to the next color, which is green. And notice what I'm going to do. Instead of making a box, I'm going to place this marker on the cone and just pull it so it makes a perfect square. Let's see. It bled here. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to try it. Let that dry before we do the red and then the green. Remember, for codes to work, you must have black on either side. If there's not, it's just going to be a light show. So I need to finish my code with a black line on the other side of the code. I might add another code here, so I'm not going to finish it into a path. Let's test this with Ozobot. There's a lot that's not accurate. There's bleeds. It's not really a square. We do have the two blacks. Sometimes Ozobot will work, but if there's too many errors, Ozobot will not work. Let's try. Nope. Ozobot only did a light show. Turn colors, but didn't spin, did not do a tornado. Liked this code, two nice squares, no white, no bleeds. Let's check out this new code. I made it by making really small squares the same size as the code sheet. Try not to have any bleeds. Let's see how it does with this one. So it did a tornado. So it's really important to follow the rules of no white, no bleeds, small squares that stay in a line, that start with black and end with black. I can't wait to see what you're going to do, how you're going to think, and make sure you place these codes where they need to go, then the addition of your light show and your cool moves. Happy learning!